I looked at her coldly without saying a word, but she grabbed my wrist angrily and repeated through gritted teeth, "Quillen, who was that person just now? Does it have anything to do with you?" I shook her hand off and said impatiently, "Don't forget, we have broken up, and what she does has nothing to do with you." I didn't agree. "You want to break up with me? Why? Why do you want me to give up so unclearly?" I looked at her and sneered, "You don't realize where you are wrong. This is why I want to break up. If you are dissatisfied with me, you can just say it directly." I said it. And then what? Has she ever taken my thoughts seriously? What kind of boy can be generous enough to be indifferent when watching his girlfriend asking about other men's well-being? "Viola, are you interesting like this? Breaking up is a simple thing. Don't make it too complicated. It will also make you look cheap. Do you mind that I set off fireworks for Orion that day?" Even in this case, she always calls Orion intimately, and I always use his full name. Sometimes I thought Orion was her boyfriend. I took a deep breath and calmly asked, "Do you remember what day it was?" Viola was stunned for a moment. I said, "That day was my birthday. I went to your house and cooked a table of dishes, waiting for you to come back for your birthday. I was waiting for you to come back with joy. But you lied to me. It was wrong for me to lie to you, but I didn't want to make you angry." I looked at her quietly, full of disappointment. I said so much, but she still couldn't find the point. "I'm very tired after working all day. Can I take a break?" Viola hesitated and grabbed my wrist and let go reluctantly. "Quillen, Before she finished speaking, the phone in her pocket rang. I was close, and I could see the name jumping on her phone screen. "Is your Orion looking for you again? Go quickly." I pushed her hand away and turned back home without any nostalgia. Viola didn't chase me. When I walked into the corridor and looked back, she was no longer outside. I retracted my gaze and laughed at myself. The next day, as soon as I sat down at the company, my colleague came over with his phone. "Quillen, have you seen the video of this stranger couple?" I didn't expect there would be a follow-up. I glanced at Viola in the video. I couldn't see her expression clearly because she was facing the camera, but Orion, who was hugging her, had an undisguised smile on his face. The street lights around were bright, and the passing vehicles honked their horns, as if they were dubbing this beautiful scene. "Wow, so sweet." The blogger said that he met this couple on his way home from get off work yesterday and felt that there was a great atmosphere, so he took a photo. That's right. He spent a lot of money to set off fireworks for her before. Let everyone in the city have the opportunity to witness this feast. What an enviable love. Really impressive. I envy her boyfriend so much. Yes, maybe I will hear good news from them soon. Hearing what my colleague said, disappointment cooled my throat like ice water to my stomach. She doesn't understand love. She just doesn't love me. I saw through everything and suddenly felt relieved. I smiled and responded, "Yes, they are a good match. I hope that, as you wish, they can get married soon. It is best for them to stay together and stop harming innocent people." But I didn't expect Lingling, who I hadn't seen for a long time, would come to the company building to wait. I walked out, and she came to me. "Quillen, can you go see Viola? She had a car accident and is now in the hospital." "Does it have anything to do with me?" I said silently. "Did I break up as you wish? What else are you dissatisfied with?" Lingling was speechless and spoke with difficulty. "I always thought that Viola was just lacking company, so she was with you. But I didn't expect that she really liked you." I sneered, and she said again, "What do you think of Viola setting off fireworks for Orion?" "If you mind," I said lightly. "Use your eyes. How else can you see?" I deliberately didn't follow her words. "No? Do you really not mind?" "What kind of boring questions are these?" I rolled my eyes at her and walked away. Lingling hurriedly chased after me. "Quillen, please go to the hospital to see Viola. She had a car accident yesterday." When she was sent to the hospital, she kept shouting that she wanted to call you, but your phone was unreachable. "For the sake of our past friendship, can you go and see her?" This is really ridiculous. Don't you think Orion is the best match for her? Wouldn't it be better to take the opportunity to match them up? After saying this, I walked to the side of the road and took a taxi home. Before Viola and I broke up, she was trying to match Viola and Orion together. I don't know what drama she is playing now, and I don't pay any attention to it. I don't answer any calls about Viola except from my family. 2 days later, Viola appeared at the door of my house with a tired body. I ignored her eyes and took out the key to open the door. Quillen, can you give me some time? Let's talk it out. Her face was pale, and she looked like an eggplant hit by frost. She looked at me with a little pleading in her eyes. What else do you want to talk about? Seeing that I was willing to give in, there was light in her eyes. Then I followed her to the riverside, looking at the breeze blowing through my hair on the other side. I asked in confusion, "What are you doing here?" As soon as the voice fell, the gorgeous fireworks burst into the sky, instantly lighting up the dark riverside. I looked up and stared at the fireworks in the sky, as if something was stuck in my throat. Quillen, I was wrong about what happened before, and I apologize to you. This time the fireworks are for you, and they belong to you alone. When you see the fireworks bloom, there is also your name. Viola's eyes were filled with deep attachment, and she looked at me tenderly. The roar of fireworks in my ears was accompanied by her sincere words. I was stunned and asked back, "If you do this, aren't you afraid that Orion will be angry if he knows? What does it have to do with her?" "Quillen," I said, "I only treat her as a brother." "Really?" I looked at the fireworks with a look of surprise, not a bit happy. "Then why do you always choose him when you make a choice between us?" I turned back to look at her and asked seriously, "Do you really know what love is?" This time she was stunned. I shook my head helplessly and said, "Viola, you really don't understand what you did. I am not angry because you set off fireworks for him, nor because you lied to me to wait for you for him. If you really know what love is, you will naturally understand what I am thinking. I want the only one, not the second best choice." Unfortunately, she still doesn't understand this truth. No one paid attention to who the protagonist of the fireworks she set off this time was, because everyone is used to bringing her and Orion into it. So when it was mentioned later, I smiled suddenly and responded indifferently, "Really, I didn't pay attention to the follow-up." The boss said that my recent work performance was excellent and gave me an opportunity to study abroad and asked me if I would go. If it was before, I would definitely think twice. "Go. There is such a good opportunity. Only a fool would give it up." I agreed immediately, and the boss was stunned for a moment. "Don't you need to discuss it with your family?" "No. My parents support my choice." "No. I'm talking about your girlfriend." I paused and smiled. "Sorry, I'm single." "What about the woman last time?" I thought about it and said I didn't know her. I agreed to study abroad just half a month later. Because I had never been abroad, I had to apply for a passport temporarily. In the evening, I talked to my parents about going abroad, and they all expressed their support as I thought. My mother said, "I don't object to you going abroad, but discuss it with Viola. Don't delay the girl because of work." Hearing this, I choked and was very calm. "Mom, I broke up with Viola." "Really? She broke up with me, not me." She seemed very unconvinced and had a skeptical attitude. When I pursued Viola, I won her with great fanfare, and I couldn't wait to tell my family. For her, I even learned how to cook and be a good boyfriend. I like her so much. How can I give up easily? "Quillen, you have to think clearly. If we really break up, there is no room for regret." I think very clearly. "Mom, don't worry. I won't regret it." I repeatedly assured her that she gave up the idea of reconciliation. "That's good. As long as you don't regret it, develop your career first, and you have certain abilities, then it's not bad to fall in love." I smiled and said, "Okay." I felt a little sad. I usually take good care of Viola in my daily life, fearing that she would be dissatisfied. I am also trying very hard to catch up with her, so that people will no longer look down on me, no longer think that I am a gigolo when I am with her, and no one will belittle me at will because of our status. But no matter how hard I try, it seems that there is no way to change. I took a deep breath and threw away the unrealistic smile in my mind. But I saw the video that Viola posted online. She was wearing a decent women's suit and her face was cold. She said seriously, word by word, "The boy in the video is not my boyfriend, but my brother. Please, don't make unrealistic remarks at will. I already have a boyfriend, and you have seriously affected the relationship between me and my boyfriend." As the popularity of the video continued to ferment, she came out to explain. After watching the video and clicking on WeChat, I found that everyone in the company's small group was discussing that their CP had changed their faces. Should I say it or not? Why do I feel that the boy in the second video is so similar to Quillen? Yes, he seemed to be wearing this outfit that day. Oh, no, Quillen, the boyfriend of this beauty. Look carefully at the fireworks in the second video. It seems that Quillen's name is on it. Watching my colleagues mention me by name, they also asked me to make a statement. I pursed my lips and typed a lot. It was not me. I felt a little guilty when I sent these words. My colleagues didn't believe it and continued to dig deeper, thinking it was me. I had no choice but to reply, I am single. Your words will affect my finding a girlfriend. Please let it go. My boss also came out to prove it to me, and they quieted down. After the group finally quieted down, a strange number sent another video, which was the video of Viola's explanation. As the video came, she also said, Quillen, if you really don't like Orion to appear in our lives, I will try to avoid contact with him. The person I love is you, from beginning to end. If I had known this, why did I do it in the first place? I sighed deeply. I don't have the habit of going back to my ex. After making sure that the message was sent, I blocked her number without hesitation. Viola didn't give up and broke into my life in every possible way. She delivered delicious food to my home or company on time for 3 meals a day. In the afternoon, there were exquisite snacks and afternoon tea, and they were all the categories I liked. She learned her lesson this time and specifically reminded the delivery boy that she didn't accept returns. I couldn't just take it to her company and return it to her. Wow, Quillen, you live so freely, eating so well. When the boss saw the things in my hand, I came forward, and I suddenly had an idea and handed it over. I don't like these sweet things very much. If you don't mind, take it and eat it. She was stunned and raised her eyebrows and said, It was given to you by that girl last time. Is it really okay to give it to me? I shook my head and smiled indifferently. Then do you want it? Next time Viola sends something, if I can't return it, I will give it to the boss. Time passed little by little, and finally came the day when I was going abroad. I didn't tell anyone about this except my parents. I was afraid of trouble, so no one came to see me off. I listened to the staff's ticket inspection reminder, and I walked to the ticket gate with my suitcase, and I went all the way down smoothly. I sat down according to the seat number, took out the eye mask from my bag and put it on. It was my first time flying, and I was a little nervous. I could only suppress the slight fear in my heart by sleeping. In a daze, I seemed to hear a familiar voice. Excuse me, please help me get a blanket. Not long after, my body became warm. I was so sleepy that I couldn't open my eyes, and fell asleep again in the warmth. Suddenly, the plane encountered a strong air current, and the cabin shook. I woke up silently, took off the eye mask and looked around, but unexpectedly saw a familiar voice. Viola looked calm and spoke softly. Don't be nervous, just fly over this place. My tense nerves gradually relaxed. Stiffly asked, Why are you here? She looked straight at me, and although she didn't say anything, she seemed to have said a lot. I pursed my lips, turned around and looked out the window, and was silent for a few seconds. She suddenly said, What are you sorry for? My parents and Orion's parents have known each other for decades, and we grew up together because we have been together for too long. He and I will forget the difference between men and women, and I always treat him as my best friend. There has never been any love between her and me. Quillen, whether you believe it or not, this is my truest thought. You said I don't know what love is. You teach me. I can learn. Viola talked about the past of their two families calmly. When she looked at me, her words were a little cautious, and I didn't say anything the whole time, just listened to her quietly. After Viola finished speaking, she was silent for a long time, and we arrived at our destination in silence. When I got off the plane, I slowly said, After this incident, doesn't it prove that we are not suitable for each other? Since it is not suitable, don't force it anymore. Loving someone comes from the heart, not like a textbook, which is rigid and can be learned at will. Quillen, the person behind him politely reminded, Excuse me, miss, please let me pass. Viola stepped aside to give way, and I took the opportunity to follow the passengers out. It was my first time in a strange country, and I was very confused. After getting the suitcase, I began to follow the boss's reminder and look for the airport exit. Viola quickly caught up with me. I know the way here. I will take you out. Foreign airports are a little complicated for me, and it is best to have someone to lead the way. But I did not refuse and followed her. How long will you stay here? 3 years. Hearing this, she was silent again, and as soon as she walked out of the airport, a fierce woman came towards her. I looked carefully and it was my boss Arable. When she saw Viola next to me, her expression was slightly stunned, and her eyes looked at me more complicated. I hurriedly explained that this was an accident. Viola saw Arable and felt a sense of crisis in her mind. With a fake smile, she said, "Excuse me, who are you?" Arable glanced at her calmly and asked the same question. "Who are you?" An inexplicable war broke out between the two of them, and I frowned. I said to Arable, "Boss, why are you here? I am afraid that you are not used to the life here. So I came to take a look during the trip." Indeed, the skirt she wore was very casual. Some people are just here to travel, I have no doubt. Sincerely said, I looked at the apartment address you sent me, and I really don't understand it. I have to trouble you to show me the way. I was about to leave with Arable. Viola walked up to me anxiously. "Quillen, okay, let's stop here." I told her very seriously, "If we break up, don't bother each other anymore. It's ugly and it's not good for us. Even if we break up, we should be decent." Viola lowered her head dejectedly, but asked again, "Is there really no possibility between us?" I shook my head gently and followed Arable out of the airport. As for how she was, it had nothing to do with me anymore. After leaving the airport, Arable always observed my expression from time to time. When I caught her gaze, she smiled awkwardly. I asked in confusion, "Boss, do you have something to say?" She scratched her head embarrassedly and said, "Was that your ex-girlfriend just now?" I didn't refute, and then I heard her say again, "After breaking up, you won't have any contact anymore, right?" Why did she ask this? I looked at her in confusion, but she didn't dare to look me in the eye and quickly looked away. "Yes. Do you have any good suggestions? Or will it affect my further studies?" She curled her lips slightly with some pleasure. "No. What are you thinking about?" I just asked casually. She took me to the single apartment and patiently told me about the surrounding environment. I nodded and thanked her sincerely. I just came here, and there was nothing at home, so it was not convenient to keep her here for dinner. So I simply said, "I will treat you to dinner next time you come." She smiled and nodded, "Okay." Then she smiled and said, "I want to eat what you make yourself." There was a mischievous tone in her words when she said this, and I was stunned for a moment. Then I reacted and nodded. Before she left, she still asked worriedly, "You really won't go back, and you will never contact her again in the future, right?" I don't understand why she asked this, but I still answered firmly, "Yes, I won't go back. I will only look forward." After saying this, I was relieved, and my learning career began. The full text is over. Remember to pay attention.